Hello and welcome back to the MANvFAT Wales podcast, episode 25, and this one's a special one. We'll be going out, I think, start of July with this, and it's already been far too long since the end of May, because I'm meeting today with the guys from MANvFAT Preston, the newest, the reigning, the champions of MANvFAT in the whole of the UK. In the 11s setup, and they've got an amazing league, amazing group of guys, and just a great story to tell from a season of trials, tribulations, travels, being all over the place, and ending up with some silverware and some medals around their neck. So I'll introduce you to the guys. First of all, we got John McNamara, who's the founder, the head honcho, the organizer, the guy that does all the mucky jobs that no one wants to do, organising ManvFAT Preston 11s. We've got the amazing Chris Ashcroft, and he's the 11s manager. Probably deals with some mucky jobs as well, I imagine, John. And we've got Nick Alston, who is the captain of ManvFAT Preston, and probably doesn't get involved in any mucky jobs, just goes out there and does the business. Well, I've seen you play, so I know you do the business.
Just mucky players.
So I'm going to kick off, if that's all right. So what makes ManvFAT Preston special? I'm going to come to you, John, because as you said, you've told me previously, this league this 11s setup hasn't been going very long. But the league's got a really great, it's got really great foundations within it. So what makes ManvFAT Preston really special?
Well, we all a lot of us joined the first season, which is like 2018 now. So like 5 years in, and it started off, it was quite tribal, as weird as it is. It was something a little bit different, and we all started playing and kind of getting together. And I would say that the standards always kind of been good. It's always been, pretty competitive. None of us really liked each other. If you were on the Blues, you didn't like the Reds didn't like the Whites didn't like the Oranges, or whatever. And it was kind of one of them weird kind of scenarios. And it was very tribal. And then we somebody said, like, well, we'll start playing on a Monday if you want, just for a bit of extra fitness. And we started training on a Monday, and everyone kind of came together, and it was weird. Like, we all became friends. It was like, oh, actually, he's all right. Him that was on the Reds or plays for the Yellows. And so we started playing together, and we ended up becoming friends. And over time, and obviously we had COVID in between, we just all sort of kind of got together and did some things together. And Aaron Donaldson spoke to me and just said, look, I fancy doing an 11s team. And I was like, oh, you can't be doing that. And thinking he wanted to do more Sunday league type things. Yeah. Like, we're not going to get injured, and we're on a weight journey and all this. And Chris, I think you were the one that had spotted that ManvFAT had some 11s teams. And it kind of started from there. They were like, we'll play some 11s teams then. And then I think we found out that there was a tournament, and we were like, oh my God, so let's enter the tournament then. We'll get it sorted out. Let's get it going. Yeah. And when we started, we looked to do it, it already started the tournament. So we'd missed the boat. So it gave us chance to be able to properly set the club up correct. And that was the thing for me. If we were going to do a club, we have to do it properly. We have to do it right. And, we want to do a constitution and do all them sort of silly little things that make a club professional. And if we start it from the ground up, then it's going to be good. And we kind of did that. And we did friendlies, cracked on with all that. And it kind of moved on from there. So what makes ManvFAT Preston great? I think it's the lads. Like, there's a lot of us that have been there a few years, and the lads that come, who join and get on a weight journey. Like, we just encourage them to get in and get involved, and like I say, it's been a really kind of positive thing for us. Different ages, different sizes, doesn't matter. We just all kind of one group, and that's what's been such a joy this season.
Yeah, do you know what? And you speak to anyone that's got a really good league, and it's always the people. The program's great, but the people make it. Chris, I'm going to come to you if that's all right. We talked about the people. Who are the people that make? First of all, how many people have you got playing for ManvFAT Preston 11 setup? How hard is it to pick a team? And who are the people who make it for you?
To be honest, the hardest thing about being the manager is actually picking the team. It's an absolute nightmare because I've got more than like a straight 11 that I can pick from, etc. And and you try and get people to be honest with you. You got lads there turning up who say, I want to be a striker, and they're not made to be a striker and things like that. So you've got to, you know what I mean? They've got to be honest with me. And I think that's what makes a lot of it good, to be fair, because they're willing to listen to what I have to say, because obviously I'm a bit older than everybody else, and I still play a bit and do me job or what have you. But I think a lot of them, because of my age or what have you, they kind of listen to what I say and things like that. As I say, I've got like Bailey and I've got Aaron, obviously, with like a driving force. Nick, who's another one there. But it all goes back to the setup itself with John. I've played in a lot of Saturday teams and a lot of Sunday teams, and the organisation behind that is absolutely horrendous. Where you're turning up and you've got a bare 11, and it's an absolute stinker when you're borrowing people who are walking the dog outside at pitch or what have you. Whereas when we've got like John pecking people's head, like, are you available this week? Are you available this week? And we always field a side. It doesn't matter where we're going. I mean, in the semi-final against Durham, we only had 14 men away due to injuries, what have you, people, other commitments or what have you. But we got 14 lads down there, and the lads who came, I mean, it's a long journey to and from Durham sort of thing, but we got a team out, and you can't ask any more than that. As I say, it's all down to John's organisation, the motivation on the pitch, and the fact that they're very competitive. It is so competitive on a Thursday night. I've come off with lumps and bruises and things like that. I love that. I love the fact that everybody wants to win, and obviously, like, off the pitch you shake hands and stuff, don't you? And it's a good crack. And I think that's the main thing. As you say, it's the competitiveness of it all.
You bring me on to a really good point. So I'm going to move on to talk about the cup run, because you formed a team, you wanted to enter the tournament, but you're a little bit too late. But then you got all your ducks in order, your constitution, your officers, your management team, and all of that. That's brilliant. And then you talked about going away to Durham in the semi-final. I believe that was the first leg, and you lost 6.
It was, yeah, that's right.
But then overall 187. So those 14 men know they've done a massive job there, because you lose 6-0, you're out.
Exactly.
Because of that.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the we obviously had the group stages and stuff like that. We struggled for a team against Stockport away, and we got a 2-2 draw, which got us through the group in all essence as such, because then that extra point got us, because we didn't win our group, we only went through as best runner up. So yeah, exactly. Salford, I think, pipped us, so we ended up playing Warrington in the quarters or whatever, the knockout stages. But it was them games where I didn't have like the first 11 as such, and that's what the whole thing is. I try and drill this into the lads. We're in it together. It's not my first 11. It's a squad thing, and I love that about ManvFAT, because even if they're not playing, I mean, I do get my head pecked a bit, to be fair, but it's they do listen to you, and they're all in a group together, and you know what I mean. It's hard to explain, but we're a squad rather than a team, and I think that's what's dragged us through that cup run big time, to be honest, because we've played some very tough teams. I mean, Warrington, Stockport, as I said before, Salford are a good team, Durham are a good team, but it's grit and determination rather than more than anything else that's got us through, because many teams would have folded at, say, 3-0 down or whatever, 6-3 down at their place. I mean, they were celebrating. They thought they'd won in the first leg, and that's what kind of drove us on, if you would. And I hate losing. I absolutely hate losing.
And there's definitely within the MANvFAT fraternity, there's the Warringtons, there's your Millwall, there's some teams that are very well known for being very good. Peterborough's another one. And it probably you were a surprise package as well that people didn't really know how to deal with. I'm going to come to you now, if that's all right, Nick. I want to know about the cup run from group stages up to the semis. What was the moment of it, or what was the point that we went, this is really good? This is.
I said before it all started that we're going to win this cup. I was never in doubt we was going to go all the way and win it, but we actually never won both legs in any knockout stage, and we come second in our group. So we did it the half round. Really, I wouldn't say we was probably the best team in the tournament overall, but on our day, there's definitely no one better than us. So. Yeah.
Oh, I've just worked that out then. So you played Salford in the group?
Yeah.
Salford were above you?
Yeah. Salford won the group.
Yeah, and then you met them in the quarters. I hadn't realised that.
Yeah, we drew with them in the quarters and we beat them in the quarters, but we got beat off Warrington and then came back and won by 1, and the same against Durham. So we did it the tough way around.
But I suppose there's memories there within that, and knowing that it probably sends a message now for next season that it's not over till it's over. There's the eventual winners were second place in their group. The eventual winners were beaten in the quarters at some point, beaten in the last 16, beaten in the semis, but managed to have 2 massive comebacks. Win by 1, and
it was the best way to do it because we scored a 90-minute goal against Durham to win. Well, it wasn't won until the last header of the game, basically, and them celebrations were as good as it gets.
Who scored that?
Aaron Cooper, but I pulled 2 away, so it was all me, really.
Cooper Coops.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't. After being there and hearing, my ear is still hurting from the MANvFAT Preston Ultras. Did everything but take off their tops and paint themselves purple. Just shouting super coops all day. So let's talk about the final. Nick, were you on that bus that I saw arrive that was just bouncing?
Absolutely, yeah. That bus again, just quality there and back. It was a good atmosphere. We all sat together, all the players were at the back. We had fans on the front as well. So yeah, great atmosphere going down. We pretty much already won it by getting a coach, from my eyes.
And both teams turned up in the coach, and I did see a lot of. I did say to you in the kind of pre-chat, you had a lot of merch, a lot of branded purple flags with the logo and the Preston emblem. What's on the Preston emblem? Is it sheep?
It's the Proud Preston. It's the town's or the city's logo, if you will. So it's PP's always been Proud Preston, and that's always been, I think it was on North End's shirt, Preston North End. So we just wanted to incorporate that it's Preston, you know what I mean? It's about us. So to be fair, we had a really good team behind the scenes. James Barker, he's got a little kind of vinyl machine, and we had T-shirts done, and he did all the mascots. We sorted T-shirts out for them and had them with the names on the back and the logos on the front. Because it didn't, as much as we were desperate to win it, it wasn't the be all and the end all. We'd done an amazing job to get to the final, and we were going to enjoy every minute of the final, whatever happened. In winning it was just the icing on the cake, and that topped it all off. But we were just determined to have a fantastic day, and it could not have gotten any better. The whole thing was amazing.
And you did get that family vibe. Like you said, you had the first thing I saw was the flags coming off, the people in the purple shirts, and then, players followed with their bags afterwards and all of that. But it was definitely a family feel to the guys you brought. You sent me some information so I could do the commentary beforehand. And, even in the picture at the front, top row, furthest right, super fan Neve. Is it Neve? Got it wrong?
Yeah, it's Neve. Yeah, it's my daughter.
So, you could tell already this wasn't just while you were really good footballers. It wasn't just about that. It was about, let's make this an event. Let's make this, a fun day for everyone. And like I said, the traveling fans were just insane. They were definitely the 12th man. So
the lads went to Screwfix next door to get the air horns. They'd ordered them online and picked them up in the morning.
Oh.
You know, the air horns and stuff.
Oh, I know the air horns.
Yeah, they'd ordered them the day before. So while we were all getting changed and stuff, they fired off to Screwfix and picked up the air horns.
Because they were asking about flares, and I don't mean like the 70s that everyone used to wear. And we were like, no, we can't be getting kicked out of Stoke. So they came up with that idea, which was amazing. It was brilliant.
Wow, it's ingenious. It's annoying, but ingenious. So we also so let's talk about the match then. You've had the day, Bet365 Stadium. Did you have the home changing room?
Yeah.
Did you see the away changing room?
Yeah.
You won it there because the away changing room was horrible, wasn't it? It was a proper wooden bench and
how it should be.
Yeah. So we've got let's talk about the match up to half time.
Right. Okay. Well, picking the team, I've got to give a shout out to Aaron Donaldson. He was on holiday when the final was meant to be on, and he actually flew back that morning, cut his holiday short by 2 or 3 days with his daughter, and flew back and joined us on the in the car park just before we set off, because he was going to meet us there, but I needed to know who was playing. Well, obviously, I had it in my head who I had a rough idea who was playing, because I know you went about the cup run earlier or what have you. Each team we've played, I've kind of watched them. I've actually joined MANvFAT Facebook pages of all the teams we've played, just so I can find out who the better players are. Just so you know, I do delve deep, but it works. And I look at the players, and then I pick out a player. I watch them warm up beforehand. I don't warm up with rest of the lads. I watch who plays and what have you. So when Aaron Donaldson turned up, I had to change my team because I'd planned for him not being there. So I had to change my team and think about it on the coach on the way up. And then obviously there was this big screen in the home changing rooms, which I wrote the team on, which was quite good, because I've normally just write on a pen and paper. I don't have any technology or anything like that, as you could tell when I was trying to set the computer up earlier on. I got the wife to do it. She's have a technophobe. But yeah, I knew the first 10-15 minutes was going to be horrendous for everybody, because you're playing in a stadium and a lot of lads haven't played under that environment before or what have you. And I tried to emphasize, play the game. Don't play. You're just playing 11 lads. Forget about the stadium. Forget about everything else. Just play the game. Because I know you're all good players, but you could see there were a few tentative touches here and there and stuff like that. And to be honest, we settled better than they did. They had a couple of half chances. Dan did a good saving goal, but really we kind of settled into it, and then we were clinical in that first half. We were really clinical. We were first to the ball a lot of the time. We weren't giving them much space. We bossed it a bit. We were quite a physical side, as you can probably tell. But saying that, we do play good football at times, and when you've got lads up front who are willing to, the brave lads, they're not as big as the rest of the MANvFAT teams, or what have you, but they are brave. And I knew then, we had half a chance. And when we went in at 3-0, it was kind of silly, really, because as John probably talked to you about before, we don't like being in the lead because we know we're going to do something really stupid, which we did, obviously, as you saw. But yeah, up to half time, I thought we were in control and everybody was settled. And I was just concerned at half time that we were going to relax too much, which we did. And that's why I tried to get the lads out early and get them going. But they stood around talking and trying to get them motivated again, thinking a lot of the lads might have thought the game was over, but it was easier than they thought. And it wasn't. We had to work hard in that first half, but we took our chances and they didn't. As I say, that was up to half time. Daz Eels gave a massive speech at half time or at the water break or what have you, and yeah, kind of got a bit of fire in the bellies.
So back to you, Nick. half time came, I think I was actually stood right behind John. I'd come over to ask both John and the manager of West Brom, any change at half time, just so we can keep them in the commentary and make sure we don't miss anyone. And John's exact words to me were, "We're not used to this. We're not used to be up at half time. Tell us what happened after half time."
Yeah, we're much better from behind. So we had a bit of a team in the dressing room and on the pitch, and we just said nothing silly first 5 minutes. And then about 15 seconds later, exactly what we all knew was coming happened. And it was game on all of a sudden. We knew it was in a game straight away. And then I believe they scored the second as well. So there was one behind. Yeah. And then we were just starting to miss a couple of chances. I don't know if we started to get a bit nervous because then same players generally took them away every time. So all of a sudden we was in a game. And then when you're missing chances, you just think it's not going to be your day. It's like they're going to get another one back. And then I was dreading penalties, really.
Mm. And that was a real possibility, wasn't it? Penalties, because it was getting to the end, and it was very tense. It was tense.
Yeah, you could feel it in your legs. Like we were all getting tired. Like the midfield were just running left to right, and there weren't much left in the tank. So I'm glad, got the job done.
And you did get the job done. You got the trophy. You got the medals, and it was a great day, all in all. So you've now won the trophy. You are champions of the UK. I would say worldwide, MANvFAT worldwide, because Australia don't do anything, do they? Let's be honest. So what's next for Preston XIs, John? What's next?
Well, to be honest, we've we got on it straight away. So we've set a website up because for me, then it opens up opportunities for sponsorships, for we can promote ourselves. We've got galleries. We can really kind of push on the back of that. I met with Chris XIs. Like we're kind of putting plans in place. One of our frustrations through the season was there's probably not one game of all the games that we played where we were actually bettered. And I don't mean any disrespect to any of the other teams, but every single game, even when we were 3-0 up against Warrington away, we lost 5-3. We were 3-2 up against Durham with our 13 and a half lads that we had, and we lost 6-3. And we were 3-0 up against West Brom in the final, and they pulled it back. And kind of every single one of them was due to mistakes. We lost the first group game that we played against Salford, 6-5. And Chris will tell you, as soon as he kicked off, said, "Lads, don't make any mistakes." And we were 2-0 down in about 3 minutes. And it just becomes an uphill battle. And they're the things that just talking with Chris about, and how do we just plan the lads a little bit better and just kind of cut them things out. We probably would have made the way it happened just made the journey fantastic, but it wasn't enjoyable. And I think we can make it more enjoyable. We know that there's going to have massive targets on our backs. We know that everyone's going to come for us, but there's things we can do better, and we need to push the weight loss with everybody a bit better. Nick had done what were you doing? Nearly 3 stone leading up to the final. Nick, it was ridiculous because he was just that focused that we were going to do it. We were going to win, and he wanted to give it his all. And we just need to get everybody on that kind of journey. Still enjoy what we're doing, but just be focused. But we still want to crack around, and we're in like a pre-season phase. Like we're up to Scotland on Saturday. Then we've got some of the northern teams that we're going to play over the next few weeks, just to give everybody a chance. We've got lads kind of chomping at the bit that want to get involved now, which is good. So we can just give everybody an opportunity. But we just want to lay the ground rules down and do the things right and make them proud to be involved in the club, because it's a special club. We put a lot of time and effort in there, and the lads are great. They all deserve it.
Do you know what? You are absolutely right. I'm going to finish it there because you've done everything right. You've set up the club. You've formed it in the right way. You've made sure there's opportunities for everyone. You're pecking everyone's head, saying, "Come on, get involved. It'll be good for you." And then you've got guys like Nick who've lost 3 stone just through the kind of the drive and the enthusiasm of being part of it. And you've reaped the rewards. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do next season. MANvFAT Preston will have a target on their back, and they will be the ones to watch. Thanks ever so much, guys.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah.
Bye.